Have you ever wanted to buy a petrol-powered Mercedes C-Class but thought that the C200 was just a little underpowered and the C63 was, well, a little too expensive for you? Well, Mercedes-Benz India has sorted that conundrum with this, the C43 AMG. Now, this isn't the full-fledged AMG. Yes, there's no V8 under the bonnet, but you do get a twin-turbo V6. But we'll talk about that a little later. Let's quickly talk about the way it looks and what's different from the C-Class and the C63. Now, the front bumper, of course, is slightly modified. It gets larger air intakes, not the crazy one the C63 gets, but it does get this lovely silver polished aluminum lip, which on all AMGs looks quite nice. The wheels are smaller. You get 18 inches as compared to the 20s on the C63, but remember, on Indian roads, a set of 18-inch wheels means more sidewall in the tire, better ride quality, which is great. The other difference, of course, is the fact that the car gets a standard bonnet from the C-Class and not the one with the big bulges that the C63 gets, and similarly, it does not have the wider wheel arches. Now, there is a bit of a difference in the way the car sits as compared to the C63. The stance is slightly different, but it does have a slightly lower stance as the normal C-Class, which means that even though this looks almost normal, there is a bit of a difference. It does look a little bit sportier. But I think if you take the badges off this car, it's the perfect recipe for a sleeper sports sedan for Indian roads.
The interior is pretty much almost exactly the same as the standard car, but with a few additions. The beige has been replaced by the black interiors, and the C43 gets a slightly different set of seats with red stitching. The wooden center console is now a matte black grain of raw and textured wood, but the absence of carbon fiber trim anywhere on the car is quite disappointing. You also get a flat bottom steering wheel with red stitching that matches the red seats, but the highlight of the cabin has to be the red seat belts that are probably the only giveaway of what lies under the hood. Now, as we mentioned earlier, the C43 has a twin-turbo V6 under the bonnet and not the handmade V8 that we are used to seeing in an AMG. The engine is a 3-litre unit and makes 357 bhp of peak power and 520 Nm of torque, slotting almost bang in the middle of the regular C200 and the bonkers C63 in terms of power and torque figures. The engine does sound quite wonderful, and the way the exhaust crackles and burbles makes you want to blip it at every chance you get. The C43 is all-wheel drive, or as Mercedes calls it, 4MATIC, and the chassis sends 31% of the power to the front and 69% of the power to the rear wheels, which means that when you do launch the car hard from a standstill, or when you put your foot down, there is almost no drama, just a ton of grip and a speedometer needle that moves up the notches into illegal territory really quickly. But it isn't the power that impresses, it is really the balance of the chassis. The C43 is genuinely comfortable, but the way it performs and the way the whole package in terms of the suspension, dampers, and of course the brakes and tires are set up really makes you wonder if you require something as crazy like the C63 anymore. The Mercedes-AMG C43 is priced at 74,35,000 rupees ex-showroom Delhi. And yes, we know that you could get alternatives like the Ford Mustang or an Audi TT for a bit cheaper, but then they don't have the same kind of versatility that the C43 will. You can use this car to take your children to school with the same level of comfort as a regular C-Class, but yet put a big enough smile on their faces when you floor the throttle and make that engine sing. And which is why, as I mentioned earlier, the C43 is the perfect sleeper sports sedan for India.